Okay, this was supposed to be informal meeting, but we are at 11. Even informal meetings, we can start on time. Can we please have seats? Professor Reddy Garu and Kalyan, a very diverse set of audience. And when Prasad, Ramji, they called, they are going to have ISBA meeting next month. And Poini ma'am coming. I hope, you don't need introduction to Poini, but she is former founder and former CEO of Sign IIT Bombay. Thank you, ma'am. And we have Pranay Gupta, 91 Ventures and 91 Springboard. And they're very generous. When we mentioned, they came from Goa and Bombay. And they actually set everything. And, with Deepanvata ma'am, they have discussed. If incubators are coming, we have few topics, and that's how it came. And we also have Atria University, Professor Praful Chandra. Thank you, sir. And we have Shilpa, again from Atria University, and Abhishek. Thank you. IKP is working with them on multiple projects, and they just wanted to meet the partners. And we have also invited MedTech Park Vice President Venugopal Garu also joined us. I think he left. No problem. No. See, they will continue. Jason sir is there. Let them continue. No, we just put extra line of chairs. No more tables. And so I will not take much time. And thank you all for coming. After this, I request you to visit the startup stalls. And today, actually, Jason ji went to all the strategic autonomy. There was a division which companies and startups in India are Hyderabad. It started with Hyderabad, but this was more of, sorry, apologies. And 3 University of Hyderabad companies were there in that row. And he was so surprised that an academic incubator is doing like this. One is Bikers, and another one is Vision. And so they are actually, and another one is Parishodhana. It was dominated by Hyderabad just because of familiarity and, people who are there. But Parishodhana Technologies have actually, with the T-Hub and IKP initial grant, and they developed a small product, and they supplied, I was surprised to hear 8 million units to Indian Army. And thanks to, all of you, everybody in this room or in Hyderabad actually helped Parishodhana Technologies. And of course, Vision from University of Hyderabad, again, Bairak Awardee, and yesterday they had a news that they are receiving 20 crores from BioE3. So, I am just, talking about Hyderabad line, but we thought today we will talk about India. And if we have to see every line like that, what we need to do. So, with this brief introduction, if anybody want to make any very important announcement or something, I will request you to make a comment and, take a brief time. And then we will have a discussion with ma'am and Pranay. Anybody want to say a few words before starting? Okay. Yeah. So I will take this as no, and I will request Sohail to very briefly talk about, why this is happening and how we are meeting every month.
Thank you, Dr. Visu. A very good morning to everyone present here. It's so heartwarming to see the incubators that we see every month, new faces as well who've joined us from across the geography of Telangana. My name is Sohail Khan. I lead the innovations for Telangana Innovation Cell on behalf of Government of Telangana. And Telangana Innovation Cell was a not-for-profit body that was set up to facilitate and promote the culture of innovation and entrepreneurship in Telangana. And as part of that, one of the strong mandates that we have is to build the community of incubators across the state. And to pursue that, every month we have an incubators roundtable that circles around one incubator hosting it along with TGIC every month. And through that, we understand what kind of issues the incubators are facing, what kind of good practices are coming about, and how the community that is building up is coming up with collaborative projects across the different verticals and different sectors. And we are also the body that is nodal for Startup India. So all the documentation, all the reporting happens through us. And something that we learn from the counterparts across Telangana is that most of the incubators across the different states are unfortunately working in silos. And when we told them the kind of Telangana model that we are running, people are really happy. They're excited to come and see how this is happening, how we are able to generate that collaborative spirit among the different incubators, and how the collaborative programs that are coming about are taking the ownership of scaling up startups, not individually. And we do understand that most of the times, when it comes to taking or sharing credit, that's where there is a slight hiccup, right? But in Telangana, it's a different story, and we are happy and we are really excited that there are about 12 incubators that are across Telangana who are present here. And once again, welcome. And without further ado, I will pass it on to Pony ma'am to take charge and set the context for today's incubators meet.
So here, me and Pranay both are there. So Pranay, I can also pass it to you. But yeah, just to get a sense, how many of you are from Telangana incubator community?
Maybe other person is better.
No, okay, it's a good number. I think we have to learn quite a bit from you as a community, and this is going to be actually today's conversation also. So maybe I can open and then I can pass it to you. So if you're really looking, we are talking about startup and all those things 2 decades back, like you don't have to go really too far in the history. Just 2 decades back, there was nothing happening in startup ecosystem, and the first stakeholder in this ecosystem were incubator centers. So, and we played as a community, we played a very good role. And of course, then investors came in and corporate accelerators and all those things. Things have changed quite a bit. Incubator per se have played a very critical role in bringing out research from various academia labs and basically, push it to the end usage. They have contributed to economy in that sense also. But just 2 decades and now things have changed so much. We are actually at a turning point in terms of the technology evolution. Like, entire innovation system is changing here. Second thing is that, like, geopolitical shifts are also, demanding tech sovereignty, and then they are disrupting supply chains and many other things. The whole order has changed out there. And third aspect, if you look at, is basically there are globally compelling problems that need to be addressed, which is something like climate change or access of health for everyone, and so on and so forth. So given these multiple scenarios out there, as an incubator, can we remain the same? Like, which is support-driven, reactive in the sense, like, startup come to us and we support them. And we work in silo, that's what, like, got mentioned, one, like, it's a cliche that I'm using here, that it takes a village to raise a child. It requires entire ecosystem, a whole set of incubator network to promote a startup, right? So how do we basically, bring that kind of a innovation system which is not individually driven, which is more intelligent, which is more predictive, which is more proactive rather than reactive. So that's what we want to really talk about. So, Pranay?
No, so I think ma'am has summarized it well. I'll only say that this session is round table and one of the few round tables where tables are really round. But just highlighting that it's not a one-way conversation. The idea is that everyone talks. I can see a lot of familiar faces on the table, and I know that a lot of times their experience is actually more than mine. So genuinely the intent for us would be to prompt you, and it's a cross-learning. Let's get the best learnings out of everyone. Talk through examples of what you're doing. Let's not be just, let's be collaborative and be happy about it. Let's take specific examples of successes and what more can be done. My goal out of it would be that if each one of us has at least 2 executionable learnings out of this, that will be amazing, right?
I think we have limited time. So Pranay and we have thought 3 broad topic theme that we can discuss. So we start with theme, and then whoever wants to speak around it, we can do that, or we go around the table, whatever works that way. So one is that, like, what is the objective of incubator? Second is, how do we make a more collaborative network? And third is leadership. I think all of you are leading this thing, and it's very important in the new technologies system and new problems demand different kind of leadership. Yeah, so these are 3 things, and then if time permitting, we have other theme also on that. But here is the question now, when we talk about incubator objectives, one is that, like, the current format of incubator, do you think it is going to be relevant in 5 years or not? Second thing is that, like, AI, we all know that they bring lots. So AI shrinks the timeline for you talk about startup or like even for incubation, if we effectively introduce it in our operational system. So that's the scale, and time to revenue becomes much faster, and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much, even in context with incubator, very workable. So how do we bring intelligent technology in our operational framework to make it more proactive incubator? And third thing, which basically we would like to know, what are the 2 things that we are doing today which will be redundant in next 2 years or 3 years? Or what are the things that we are not doing today as an incubator which will be very relevant in next 3 years? It would be a good idea to get. And I think those basically answers will help create, like, some kind of a framework or pilot proposal or something like that. So,
so maybe we can just start with a question.
Yeah.
Just like, I'll break it up. So, bunch of incubation managers sitting here. Where are you seeing that, how your incubator has changed over the last 2-3 years? And what are a few, like, when I'm saying that, please don't give like that 10-minute speech, but specific points where you feel like others can pick a learning from that, right?
If I may suggest, in the interest of time, let's take 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Each of us make a note of the 2 questions. What are the 2 things that we are doing that may be redundant in the next 2 years to come, and what we need to be doing that will take up the need, right? So let's take 2 minutes. Let's just note down so that when we pass around the mic, we can very crisply give up input. And also, if there's any point that somebody has already addressed, maybe you can skip that point and move to the other point that you'd like to add. So 2 minutes.
No, I think you note it down and we start passing the mic.
If anyone is ready, we can actually start.
Preparing their questions.
Sure.
Hi, myself Nutan. I am working as an innovation advisor, and this platform is very interesting when Vishu told about this engagement with incubators. And since I have worked in BIREC for a good amount of years, like 7 years, and I understand that how incubators are changing the overall startup journey by accelerating their speed and access to the market. Now in my current role, what I see is to create a bridge between incubators from one country to the other country, because that's the hub. So if I work individually with a startup to support them to explore an international market, it will take, say, a lot of effort. I would not be able to evaluate and do. So I find incubators as a very interesting and supportive hub. And similarly, there is a hub in the Netherlands for now. I would like to say Biotech Booster. It is a program which is covering a lot of incubators from Netherlands, specifically focused on biotech area. So what I see that interestingly, 2 months back, I took the CEO of Biotech Booster to IIT Mumbai, and he was pretty impressed with the ecosystem. So if we take them around the incubators, that give them the whole glimpse of India, how India is evolving. So I find incubators very strong pillars for leading this innovation. So just to highlight the role of incubators. Thank you.
So anyone else would want to? Yeah.
Hello. Hello, I'm Dr. Moshumi Shah. I'm the CEO of AIMS Patna Incubation Center. So basically, as we are working with the doctors, so what we are facing that after doing any innovation, they just put themselves into the patents. When the concept comes for the commercialization, as it is a government sector, so the commercialization process fails. Because who will be get the royalty or who will be the stakeholder? So that is the major problem we are facing. So in that context, how we are planning that if we could associate the startups and the clinician and the doctors together, then how could this can be leveraged? Because what's happened, doctor do the, because they are dealing with the patient, they know what will be the surgical equipments modification need to be done, or how they can treat a patient in a much better way as compared to the startups, because they are dealing with a lot number of OTs and OPDs, and they can handle the patient much in a better way. So, but when it's come to the commercialization part, then the main concept stops. So how we need to break that barrier, because if we don't only getting patent and that putting into the promotion or the CV, that does not motivate them much. So, and only associating the doctors with these startups as a mentors is also not being very good for to continue for a longer run. So how we can break the policy or the other way out, so that doctors can be a part of these startups or can get the proper commercialization aspect from the innovation.
Sure. Let's go around the table. We'll come back to that specific question also. But I can see a hand behind you. If you can just pass the mic to the person behind you. Yeah.
I'm Shashidhar here. I work with Apollo Research Foundation. So in order to answer her question, so basically most of the times, not all the times, what happens is the innovators generally build a product and then go to the doctor. So that is where the innovation fails, because either the innovation is not needed, or there are better ways of doing things or smarter ways of doing things. So a good thing could be bring the doctor and the regulator early in the picture, because that's where things can fasten or move at a rapid pace. So that's literally what we are doing. We are doing a translational approach at our place. We have a sort of a private incubator basically for Apolloids actually. We take problems which are relevant for the doctors, and then have a mechanism wherein that problem is circulated among the doctor community, and only we take those issues which actually have a role in solving the problems. Yeah. So probably that could be a way to start with the doctors and the regulators, because at the end of the day, they are the people who will be using.
Sorry, if I may jump in, my name is Praful. I think there was a question that you asked, two different questions, and I think they are related, and there is something staring us in the face which we are not looking at. The role of the incubators is acceleration.
Yeah.
You also said that AI is supposed to accelerate the innovation life cycle.
Sure.
So the obvious question for us is, what is the role of incubators in helping with AI accelerate the life cycle?
Yeah, thanks for bringing the conversation back, but go on.
Yeah, so I think that's something that is staring us in the face. We have the question that you asked, what is needed? I think two things are needed. The first one is something that Professor Vijay Chandru mentioned in the dinner last night. which is that if you look at what you need with AI to actually drive the acceleration, you need the compute power, which hopefully will come with GPUs, whether private or public. You need models, which means you need human capital, right? And that is a very important part that we should discuss, that not all the innovation that we are focusing on in this event is AI driven. A lot of this is life science or biology driven. Yeah. And just to give you a statistic, we were at a workshop which BIRAC had organized about a month ago. And one of the organizers asked a question of how many people come from a biology background versus an AI background. In the room of people who were selected for the projects, only about 20% people came from AI background, 80% from biology. So I think there's a silo sitting between AI researchers and life science researchers, and they are not talking to each other. So is there a human capital acceleration role that the incubators can play, perhaps in collaboration with academic institutes, to drive learnings across fields, right? Because, and it has to go both ways. Life science professionals have to understand AI, and AI professionals have to understand the language of life science, which is not as easy as it sounds. So I think both, that's a very, human capital is a very important conversation. The second conversation is that AI requires data. Right? And right now, the way I see it happening is every startup is generating its own data sets and fine-tuning the foundation models and the deep learning models, which will take you from point A to point B, but it will never lead you to a 10x growth, because the scale at which the foundation models are trained is nowhere close to what any startup can generate, which raises a fundamental question which is staring us in the face, which is there a way to enable data sharing with some sort of economic incentives built in, with some sort of IP protection built in between startups and maybe even between startups and industries, right? A lot of the data in the manufacturing process of biochemicals or pharmaceuticals is actually sitting in the industries. They are doing nothing with it, but it's not flowing back to the startups because everybody wants to protect the data. So how do you square that circle? I think those are two important questions that incubators are well placed to solve.
Sure.
Yeah, so I have a slightly different perspective. I'm Ambrish Saxena from ISR Tirupati, and here we are looking at.
Could you introduce yourself?
Oh, it's not. Introduce yourself. Yeah, I am Dr. Ambrish Saxena from ISR Tirupati, okay. And here we are promoting a lot of young postgraduate students towards entrepreneurship. We are also looking at incubator, but my question is slightly different. Let us dissect to the basic, what we provide in an incubator. Most of us will agree, of course, academia has incubators. We provide basic instrumental support, and some working space, right?
Sure.
Now, this is not the end of it, right? What we don't provide is a particular platform to work on. So, for example, somebody is working on a particular technology, right? They would have to reinvent that platform again. Instead, if we can, incubators, right, can have a small portion of dedicated their own R&D, where they can create a platform technology, and this can be utilized by the new incubatees. That would definitely help them go ahead. But unfortunately, in whatever incubator models I have seen across the country, we do not support any kind of self R&D being done by the incubators. While I was just at Harvard 2 months back, and I saw most of the incubators there do have that model. They develop their own R&D and then pass it on. That's a part of sustainability also for the incubators business as well. So that's one thing. And second thing, what I was noticing is that we have limited outreach. We want people to come to the incubators. We don't reach out to the institutions. Why can't we just reach out to them and tell them that this is what our facilities are, and then select from there? Maybe some proposals can be invited and select, but we are waiting for a standardized hackathons or something, and somebody to reach out to us. That's becoming an older model, I would say so, right, to think about it.
So proactive outreach is something that I'm noting, apart from incubators being R&D centers.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would
It's
so what I want to say is defined acceleration programs for specific, let's say, climate change, if they're there. Startups from different incubation centers can get together and take that acceleration program. That kind of working in collaboration should be more and more encouraged. And currently what we are also seeing is, a gap in academia and industry, which has been thoroughly discussed yesterday. And then everybody that I meet today is always saying that I think high-tech innovations will come when we involve the academia people to bringing in and bring a platforms like this can help them to give more meaningful innovations coming together.
I'll double down on the collaboration bit. We hear it often. Any of you have done an awesome job of co-incubating a company with some other incubator?
Yeah,
Great.
I would want to
What
say
worked beyond just the fact that, say, I know Deepanvita and I could give a call? Like, is there a structure that you've been able to identify which worked for you?
Most of the time it is for funding. No, so
okay, I would want to my
takeaways. Just one. I think what Pranay said. I want to add something, and if you have addressed this, it would be very good to know as a group here. So one is that, of course, there are lots of co-incubation examples. But what we want to basically would like to know on this table is there any formal model? Because everyone says this is my company, this is my company, this is their company kind of thing. So there is a little bit rivalry and also heartburns out there. Has there been a successful model that has been piloted for co-incubation? That is one thing that basically, if there are examples, it would be good to know about it. And how the economic aspect has been handled in this model.
So for us, basically, the funding is the main strategy for the collaboration among, when it comes to the startup cases. For example, we have few startups who are already co-incubated with the IKP Knowledge Park. So most of the time when we have some facilities, good facilities regarding to the, who are at the early stages. For example, Vision, yesterday they have entered MOU with IKP Knowledge Park. Like that, several startups. So they are approaching IKP for financial assistance, basically. They have specifically few programs at IKP. So people are approaching IKP for that kind of thing. But in terms of facilities, when they need some kind of research facilities, laboratory facility, they are approaching Aspire incubation facilities at University of Hyderabad. This is well worked. And related to affiliation, so, there is some kind of ambiguity, but still we have good terms with IKP. So there is, till date, we don't find any such kind of issues. But maybe there isn't such an ambiguity maybe with other incubators, where we need to see at least some theme space, thrust area specific incubators, if they come forward onto a single platform where we can, specifically design few programs for startups, irrespective of which incubator, so then it would be nice. This is my point.
Right. When I was in Sign, we experimented with two models. It worked very well. Scale was not very much there, but it worked very well. So one was that if an incubator wants support from two organizations, we decided to split the cost consideration, equity. So typical our equity say is 4 or 5%, we would say, okay, 2 kind of thing. Whoever takes the lead, whoever generates the lead would get little bit higher equity. That is one thing. And second model work was that if as an incubator, we are able to support by funding, and then they use the facility, okay, you don't give the equity, but give them commercial cost, not subsidized cost, give them commercial. Both the models work very well, and there is no heartburns that my company, your company, it's our company kind of.
We also added one more thing, which is connecting with the professors. So what happens is that, let's say, for example, if somebody is working on the startup and they want to expedite their product development, and any of the professors in IIT Bombay is working on the same technology, we used to bring them as a mentor. And that worked very well. And we still work on that co-incubation model. And I guess now tens of incubators are already partner with us, and we are doing this co-incubation model. I'm adding the points of sign only.
No, the same thing. I mean, people who comes to us is for intellectual resources because universities are academic institutes. They have a rich pool of intellectual resources.
We'll give you a chance there.
No, so in co-incubation model, we also worked successfully. We have a tie-up with AMTZ, so they provided the grant, and because we provided the market connect and mentorship, we worked on the model of taking a revenue percentage whilst they got the grant. So this is a successful model. We worked on a patented startup. Regarding the other one about partnership, one of the important partnership that we forged with the industry was with RE Sustainability. They are Asia's biggest waste management company. So we are running a series Greenovation with them. And what is good about this model is that it has attracted startups from all over India in the domains that they had mentioned, which is like circular economy, waste management in industrial waste, e-waste, now automobile waste, and green energies. So while we got startups which were already funded and are at a stage where they want to scale up, RE Sustainability brought them mentorship and co-piloting in their company to help scale up. And some of these companies are using AI and IoT in waste segregation.
Can you introduce yourself?
We didn't.
I am Anjali Bhattmanda. I am from the IKFI Incubator.
Okay.
Can I? Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Pratibha Pulijala. I'm founder Me School, that is Media and Entertainment Entrepreneurship School, very exclusive for Media and Entertainment Incubator. We are based out of T-Hub. It's been 3 years we've been doing incubation for very sectorial to media and entertainment startups. We have around 24 startups who are into the revenue. After listening to Sir here, he asked about very 2 things. So one, what the industry, if I have to just give a quick understanding, everybody comes into the media and entertainment suggesting it's a passion, but then no, it's a lot of information because it's a mass media. So we kind of designed a program called Cenepreneur, which is a 12-week program. And we very strongly feel, because many engineers, many management grads, everybody from different academic backgrounds, when they come in, we very strongly felt there has to be a very foundation course, which will cover 29 crafts and 12 subsectors, which will make them very strong basics. Then post that, they can, take up. Like, for example, if I have to tell, there was a doctor from Nagpur who joined our cohort in 3rd batch, who is a HOD. He felt a lot of infotainment, but with the creative thing can be done, which can be a very good startup. And now he's raising fund. So, and that initially what used to happen is people depend on the YouTube knowledge or just, now the AI is come, but without understanding the basics. So that's where our programs, which has to be done in future, we felt you come from any background, but you should have a very strong foundation background. So Cenepreneur program is what we've been doing. That's the program as an accelerator, which will give them a thorough understanding. Now we are very much trying to make them fundable. That is where the challenge is, what we are actually looking at, because they feel this is a very unorganized, but thanks to the Modi government, recently they launched Waves in Delhi, in Bombay, which is World Audio Video Summit, Entertainment Summit, which is declared as an orange economy. So we are looking at good investments coming in this sector as well. Thank you very much.
So let's move on to the next question. I'll just add one bit from my end. I feel a lot of times as incubation centers earlier, like there was just lack of capital in the market, and we would get good starters simply because we were willing to supply capital at a riskier stage and faster than an angel would. I do feel like over time capital is becoming commodity. It is a commodity. It's 100 rupees, 100 rupees. So to that extent, I feel as incubation managers now are, like, one thing that we'll have to evolve into is just that element of value add and how we can do better. And that's only what will bring us good deals. Now,
can I add something?
I was just changing the topic so that we can, so I was saying that with that thought, right, just saying how can we as incubation managers become much better ourselves, I just wanted to get a sense of, are you guys using AI yourself and beyond just search? So I'm assuming by now all of us has shifted from like Google search to using AI tools in that sense. But beyond that, where are you using AI applications to make your life more efficient and to learn AI yourself so that you can evaluate startups better, help them better, etc. Would love to just hear how you guys have been using it well.
Okay, so we do a lot of research on notebook LLM when we get any kind of pitch from the startups, and as a incubator are always going to be lean team, and you may not be having all the knowledge within your team, so you have to depend on the AI tool. Notebook LLM is the very good tool when you put the pitch and you understand what they are doing and how you can think like a investor when you are asking question to them. That's one beyond the chatbot what we use in our day-to-day life. And on top of that, to simplify the day-to-day activities, we have started working on certain platform, what all database what we have created. So it's like a chatbot within your database where you will be able to get the information about startups. And let's say, for example, every incubator is supported by government, and if you have to furnish the data to government, so you may have to run a multiple data within your database so that you can generate the report for them. For that purpose, we have started working on some of the tool which will be eventually will be come into the picture. We have one technology partner called Sanchi Connect. We already started working with them where they are implementing the AI for the search within your database. Yeah, those are the two things which we are doing at Sign level.
Yeah, platform. I think so. Sanchi Connect is so one is AI aspect that he said, but it's a very good platform where like you bring the community together, you bring the data together, and you have access to pretty much every information that you need it. So similar platform, anyone has used it. So Prasad mentioned about only AI aspect, but it's also the community aspect out there as well.
So very quickly, at Telangana Innovation Cell, one of the segment of beneficiaries that we work with are rural and grassroots innovators. And on the other hand, we have people from the incubator community whom we keep meeting every month. And one problem statement that we were able to identify from across the community is that students or innovators are building ideas, they're building startups, registration sab ho raha hai. But the problem statement or what they're trying to solve is not clear. They're very passionate about the use of a certain technology, but they do not know how to go back to the community and understand where the core of the issue is. So what we've done as part of our flagship Intinta Innovator program, translates to Har Ghar Ek Innovator, runs across the 12,000 gram panchayats across the state. And we have listed out the problem statements that come from the panchayat secretaries. And we have compiled them, and then we have a repository of that. And on the other hand, what we are trying to also now give out to the incubators all across the state, 78 as we speak, is this repository of the problem statements on which we have added the different plethora of AI tools and the kind of data and the preliminary information that they would need to even understand that problem statement or go to the community and understand ke wahan ke dynamics kaise hain. So this is something that has worked pretty well for us, and in the days as a pilot, and in the days to come, we are going to push it all across the entire state, both with the incubators ecosystem and also with the schools, because the students from across the schools have very active programs like Inspire Manak as well, and they're building amazing solutions. So that's one thing that's worked really well for us.
Yeah. Anyone else using AI effectively?
A very good morning to all of you present over here. Myself, Dr. Sunny Agrawal, CEO of Atal Community Innovation Center at CBIT. So we are running one flagship program, Community Innovation Fellow, where we are providing a sum of 2 lakhs in a duration of 12 months. So these funds we are releasing in tranches based on their proposed milestones. So now what we are observing generally, the innovators whom we are supporting through these initiatives, they are at very early stage. They are trying to build some solution, but they don't know exactly in which way they can propagate. So to combat these challenges, I am using tools like Perplexity, and recently they have launched one browser Comet to drop the milestones. In a stipulated time frame, then I am making a tracking mechanism. So definitely AI is playing a very crucial role in drafting those timelines. That's it from my side.
Got it. I'll add one bit of it, and in case you haven't tried. So creating a custom GPT for yourself has become super easy. And I don't know how many of you have tried to just make an app yourself. Has anyone tried to make an app yourself? So we have a couple here. I'll say just tried these out. Interestingly, I was sitting with Ma'am Priyank, who's part of Axel. He's a partner at Axel. Typically, all of us get used to this, we'll evaluate and we'll invest. He's coding himself. Like when I went to meet him, he had his laptop on, code on the screen, typing out a code, and doing it because he said, yeah, unless I'm doing this, I'm not able to understand startups better, right? I'm not able to evaluate them better. I've started doing this, not coding to the extent Priyank is doing, but making an app myself, making custom GPTs, etc. I'll just urge you to do it. It's not hard. And the moment you get over that mental barrier of it's hard, right? It will put you in a very good spot to help your entrepreneurs also. Because I'll be very honest, entrepreneurs are also in that mode, right? We have 30 things to do, they have 300 things to do. And for them also, to some extent, unless it's forced, the learning doesn't come easy. So, like at times I have sat with an entrepreneur, just showed him how I created a custom GPT, and he said, "Acha, itna easy hai, then I'll do myself also." Right? So I think a few of these, just get your hands dirty. Poini ma'am, you were prompting me to say something, but honestly, I didn't understand fully.
No. So, no, on the theme of AI and GPT, actually, so I think incubators traditionally have remained like, in a reactive mode. We support startup as per their need and all those things. Given the new challenges, like we talk about technological challenges or geopolitical challenges, and new global problems, at the same time, like, emergence of extensive use of AI, can we become more proactive in our approach, like, predictive technology and scout or influence entrepreneurs rather than just becoming a reactive incubator centers? And I think incubators are really in a good position to do that, because VCs are going to invest. They are not going to do predictive and influence entrepreneurs that you get into this direction. Industry is not going to do it. Being part of academia and innovation system, incubators has a chance to do it, something new after 20 years. Yeah. So that's one perspective that I had of being reactive out there. So any comment, whether feasibility, challenges, or something like that? And second thing is that I think infrastructure and what you mentioned about it, this will also get into, like, you're right that if you want to have a very specific infrastructure, it has to become a very focus-specific incubator. But then you require, there is a strong need to network. No one will now, being alone and influencing the entire innovation system, it's going to be very, very difficult out there. So to what extent it is possible, challenging, I would like to understand the challenge on this table, to create shared resources like infrastructure, like information. Are we open to share the information, data? Yeah. And funding is happening, but it is still like, if I have case within my incubator, I choose that versus going to other incubator and compare and choosing the thing. So that's one thing that we would like.
Yeah, so how many of you know about ISBA? Okay, so ISBA is an incubator association for this country. What we have tried doing is ISBA Hub portal, where all the incubator can share their resources, what all resources they have, and other incubators can avail that resources. But what we have started realizing, even after creating the ISBA Hub portal, many of the incubators are not using that. And in fact, just to bring the value creation part, we are also bringing, you can launch your programs within that ISBA Hub portal, where your entire incubation can be taken care in the ISBA portal. When I'm saying incubation, means you can onboard the startup, you can track the life cycle of the startups, you can think like a fund manager. So what I believe is that incubator role is not now limited only to the incubation. It is you have to be a feeder for the investors. If you want to be a feeder to the investors, you have to think like an investor. So it's not something you only have to give them the grants what you get from the government. You have to think like an investor where they will be investable with the VC community. That's something which you have to target upon. And as you mentioned, the infrastructure, what we have right now, it is going to be irrelevant. But having said that, what Poini ma'am just now mentioned, how are we going to use the facility of other institutes and other incubators? Because everybody cannot create infrastructure within their institute or the incubation. So how are we going to collaborate? So we have created a very good platform in ISBA, and ISBA is for the members. And what we believe is that if you can avail that facility, and you will be able to list your infrastructure, and at the same time other incubators infrastructure, you can easily identify what they have and what all your startup require, then accordingly you can use those things. Yeah.
Prasad, one thing which was coming to my head is, even though there's this WhatsApp group of all ISBA people there,
People are using to that.
but people aren't seeking help on that group.
Yeah, that's
maybe one thing we can do is take a pledge saying we will proactively seek help on that group for our startups or ourselves.
Yes.
Right?
In fact, this is what we are. In fact, we have our two of our advisory board members here. We are thinking of bringing a ISBA Academy. So where we are going to, one is we all know we want to run an incubator. Do we have enough resources who is ready to take that kind of activity? Because when I'm saying everybody think incubation as a physical incubation when there is an infrastructure, and then they will talk about co-working. Nobody talks about the value creation for the startups. How are we going to build the resources who can create a value for your startups? And with respect to multiple aspects, it's being, you can talk about how they should be approaching their product development, how they should be approaching their patent filing, how they should be raising funding through the investors. Everything has to be fed by the incubation managers. When I'm saying incubation manager, there are multiple verticals, right? Incubation manager can create a lead. But having said that, can that lead can be converted into a fundable startup? That has to be a different team. There has to be a portfolio team who comes into the picture. But do we have that kind of a mindset? Do other incubator have that kind of a mindset? If that mindset is there, can we use their experience building more incubators like that? That's where ISBA comes into the picture, and we have taken that pledge. We can do that thing. But having said that, we need more members coming forward for the ISBA. And with the help of advisory board, we have multiple plans which we can bring out. I'm just taking this platform to announce this ISBACon, what we are going to do in the Guwahati. So ISBACon is a flagship event of ISBA. It's more for the incubators where there may be a lot of learning which can happen. Second thing is that we also do a lot of master classes for the incubator professionals, what they should be doing going forward as an incubation manager, what all things you should be knowing to run your incubator. We do a multiple capacity building programs. And we also do a multiple panel sessions which will be useful for the incubator when you're thinking beyond your incubation. That's something which you can avail if you are a part of ISBA, and I will urge every incubator to be a part of ISBA so that you can avail these kind of a thing.
Can I?
Yeah.
This is Sudhakaran, Golden Jubilee Biotech Park, Chennai. Basically, when we look at the startups, they struggle at a couple of places actually. So with regard to the R&D, when they do in the Bionist or the R&D center, it's their domain, they are able to do that. But they struggle at scale up, and then they struggle at clinical trials and validation, especially when it comes to the healthcare and medical equipment related product. And next is that when they want to go to the market strategy, they struggle. So these are the main areas which they struggle. Especially a startup, when they come and get incubator, we need to tell them that the product which they are going to innovate, it's not for the region which they are going to innovate. For example, like it's not for Tamil Nadu they are going to manufacture, but it's for the global outreach, they need to manufacture the product. But then the question comes, when it comes to the, again, clinical trials and validations, they need to do at multiple sites the validation. So is there a way, like we are all sitting from different regions, from Telangana, from Mumbai, I am from Tamil Nadu, there are people from other states, Bangalore and all. Is there a integrated kind of an information which is available, maybe through ISBA or through other areas? And we also have from Khan, from GIC and T-Works sitting next to me. So is there any recognized hospitals or the center where my startup from Tamil Nadu, they can get the trials and validation through our system of integrated system? Because when they want to go and do the multiple sites, they straight away go to the hospital and approach it where they are unknown to the hospital or one. But if they go through our system, then their job makes much easier, and then they're able to reach that. So maybe we can work out on that aspect to have an integrated one. So that is one area I wanted to emphasize on that. And the second thing
can we just take that first? I think that's an important one.
No, so I think the same thing was basically, expressed in by her and as well as from Apollo Foundation. The whole thing we are talking about basically pooled resources and pooled information system. And that's why the network approach is very, very important. Yeah. And second thing drawing from the previous query is that bringing various stakeholders like regulator, like user, early on the board, again that will come from the pooled resources. So that is where I think ultimately we are going in that direction.
But particularly clinical trials, maybe anyone has done a good job of it and can raise their hand saying, I want to collaborate.
Yeah, can I add quickly, sir? For example, in Tamil Nadu or any other states, knowing the incubator background, okay, for example, we are into completely biotechnology, life sciences. So, to your question as well, about the trials, or one of the Tamil Nadu, Coimbatore based, I think, he wanted some facility where he wanted to pilot his product, his newly made Make in India products, to be tested or trialed by CCMB scientists, our scientists. So matchmaking is the key there. So some may be working, otherwise we will be telling them to go to IICT if they are more related to chemical based or any other. So I think pooled resources is really a challenge, because everywhere, even Telangana government also tried, okay, why can't we disclose all the list so that others can be knowing? So the trials part, actually, we succeeded in some way, not only our startups. People come here, can you please try connecting to some regulators or trials? We, in the Apollo, for example, when I was in IKP, 3 startups are connected. They actually understand the value of connection and relationship of IKP. They give some less discounted trials also. And now, in the past 2.5 years now at AIC CCMB, for example, be it nutraceuticals or wellness products or even in medtech products. And Mallareddy Medical College, for example, they have the dossiers and all. So not only our incubators, all over India, anywhere, anybody can. But yes, there is a gap of knowing the strengths of our fellow incubators and fellow players. Yeah.
I think in Chennai, Ramchandra Medical College, they have one. Kerala, Calicut one recently. What is the name? Recently they announced one exclusively for who wants to do the clinical trials and kind of thing.
Yeah.
And one in Noida recently, GNI it is.
Yeah.
So
with
that is.
regard to Chennai, like we are aware of it.
Majunda,
Yeah,
yeah.
Sri Chitra Tiruna. But then the
I'll tell you later. So yeah, sure.
Yeah, if you have that integrated kind of a thing, maybe
No, sir,
a startup
that's well.
from
So
one state,
you can
other
avail
do.
this
Yeah.
information in ISBA portal. So it is there about all incubators. There is an information in the ISBA portal. So better. So I think everyone is not following the website of ISBA. So because we have everyone is active on the WhatsApp groups, not on the.
One-way communication. What we have done is that the portal where it is a two-way communication. In fact, incubators can interact with other incubators. And let's say, for example, every Saturday, Sunday, if somebody wants to reach out to me, I have created a time slot there where they can reach out to me. So we have created that platform. But having said that, we always talk about ISBA Hub platform. But when it's actively people are not using it. So
yeah, that is one thing. Second point is that the marketing, the distribution and logistics point of view. So what kind of a strength the other incubators from the other regions they have, so that our startups can reach out to that and then they can sail through that hardest part of it, and that's mostly important as much as we give the importance for the R&D and scale up. Yeah.
So we actually adapted same traction platform, CB Insights or traction at some level, but we realized, they are actually up to 85 to 90% only effective. Just let me be open. So it's expensive for the incubator also, for ISBA membership, for example, I'm bringing it here, annually 25,000 rupees. If you feel expensive, the similar way, quarterly 25,000 rupees as a burden to an incubator. But yes, again, if you reach out to the fellow incubators like us, maybe we can have some kind of understanding that your startup can use it an hour or a couple of hours, a week or something, so that we actually gave this platform to all our early stage innovators, scientists and EIRs, so that they can actually understand what is the marketable status of his proposition, so that he can actually plan his journey accordingly. So that is one quick marketing.
In fact, if you want to work with Traction, so we at Sign, we have already cracked something called Traction University model. So when I'm saying university model, that entire Traction package can be used for the entire institute. So even your students can do the research when they, so somebody talked about how we can work on the problem fitment. So whatever they are working on, whether it is relevant or not, this kind of a tools will be useful when students are working on their ideas. What we believe is that we can work with Traction for other incubators as well. Having said that, we have to have that many interest coming from the incubators to go back to the Traction and asking them, can we have a subsidized rate for the incubators?
Just adding here, Pranay, I think any such incubators in the country who can actually make such platforms for our own use. Like reports, for example, everybody can't afford Traction for their subscriptions, even the university model, for example. But, if some startups are really working in generating reports, market activity, each starting from 50,000 rupees, 75,000, up to 10 lakhs. Corporates use market reports such that. So I think that resource also can be planned so that people can effectively use it for their incubators.
Coming back to your question on distribution, and I'm assuming it meant like for the startups which are now creating products, you want to help them in distribution. At least for me, what worked is I've realized when I go to a startup, to a previous startup which has gone ahead and ask that founder to connect, it works very well. So if it's in a similar space, so medical device, there's one company which has been doing well. Now, when I look at another medical device company, I ask that founder to help connect to their distributors, etc. And if I don't have startups in that stage, then I'll reach out to other companies via their incubators if I know them or otherwise, right?
But then when we are going on a pan-India basis, that's where the problem comes actually. And what happens is the startup struggles to make revenue, and that is the time the chances of success rate becomes dim, and then also those are the areas which really, as collectively, we need to give more importance.
But in general, when you're cracking it for them also, so let me even go simpler, right? Let's say it's a D2C product where you're trying to get them into a quick commerce channel. I feel cracking pan-India quick commerce across the 3 big quick commerce players is nightmare. But to crack a quick commerce player in Delhi and then start from there is something which is much more doable.
So practically, like, I have been in the industry mainly, with MNCs from the healthcare industry. The product which is manufactured, for example, in Chennai, not necessarily that the Chennai customer would take it, but there are chances that the customer in Hyderabad would prefer to take that. So we don't know which market would be a hit for us. So those are the really market is very dynamic, and those are the areas which an entrepreneur lacks actually, because it's not their the domain actually, because they are basically the PhD and turned out to be an entrepreneur, or a faculty turned out to be an entrepreneur, but it's not their cup of tea, they feel. But then we need to collectively give a lot of support so that the success rate becomes much, much higher, sir.
So I will give you one simple solution. I am not sure whether it is a simple solution. Talk to your distributor who can take 4 or 5 products of your startups. So what happens is that one product going to a distributor, they may not be entertaining. If there are 4 or 5 such products where they can bundle it and sell to the end user, that will be the solution. Because that's something which we are trying to do. We are still not able to successfully do that thing. But having said that, that is one way you can try to solve the problem, where your startup products can reach out to the market faster.
So, if I may, I want to zoom out and go back to the question that you raised. If you can look a slightly longer term view about how incubators can be proactive. And I want to link it back to a theme that the new helix that we talked about yesterday. I think the geopolitical changes and the climate change, there's a clear signal from the DBT and the DSTs of the world as to what is it that they want the R&D ecosystem to work on. It is not clear to me whether that message is getting through to the startups. Maybe I'm not as well informed, but I think one thing that we can do is that several of these deep tech startups, there is a gap between what you can do in a lab and what you need in real time, right? So one of the things that we are starting to do, we are at a university, so strictly speaking, we are not an innovation hub right now, so I speak from a slight differently angle, but we are starting to set up scale-up facilities in terms of which are neither labs nor the scale at which manufacturing works. Right? This is part of BioE3. So manufacturing will be tens of thousands of liters, and the lab is less than 2 liters. So is there a scale-up facility in the middle? And I think that's an interesting opportunity, because the kind of scale-up facilities that incubators can set up is a very strong signal in leading the market as to where you want to go. Right? So the minute you put up a scale-up infrastructure which is dedicated to a particular domain, several of the problems that I'm hearing get solved. Because A, you automatically attract the startups which are aligned with using those facilities. By virtue of choosing which infrastructure you have set up based on this feedback that you are hearing from the secretaries, you're also basically aligning the R&D ecosystem to climate change or geopolitics, whether it's import substitution or the kind of things that the government wants to work on. The primary point I'm making is words are not enough. Incubators have to do costly signaling by actually putting in the scale-up infrastructure in the domains that they want to place the bets in, and that's the way to lead the market.
So, good morning, everyone. This is Sahaj here from T-Works. I would like to start with the good news that I just received half an hour back. So last year we started experimenting with the incubator model at T-Works. T-Works is in existence from 7 years, but our incubator is just 10 months old. And we found that being a hardware incubator, we are not into AI, we are not into health tech and biotech. We are basically manufacturing hardware. That sector is ours. So just half an hour back, I received a word that we have signed a 3 years MOU with Mahindra Research Valley, where we'll be working not only on incubating startups, but incubating technologies, whether it comes to startups, whether it comes to MSMEs, whether it comes through research, and how to implement and take it back to their factories. So I just received this this morning. And on the topic of scaling manufacturing at incubators, we are also looking into the model of nano factories, which we are in talk with Ashok Leyland Switch Mobility, which is their electric wing. And through that, we're experimenting in these areas and looking forward to create some common facilities that can be used basically in the field of semiconductors and electronics that we have already started working on. And yes, I mean, it's not exactly AI-driven thing. My team is using AI a lot. For example, we use AI for our analysis, for creating prototypes, for creating designs, for simulations, everything. But at the top, what we are thinking is to how we can have common shared resource pool, which some of the automotive companies, top automotive companies from India have already agreed to, and they've already started signing on it. So yeah, I mean, we are open to have discussions on scaling up, and also how we can use our facility. Because if anybody has not visited T-Works, I invite you to visit us and see that what kind of facilities we have and how we can use it. Thank you.
Hi. I'd just like to add a few points. I'm Annapurna. I'm from Blockchain for Impact. We are not an incubator. We are a catalytic funder, but we have been actively working with incubators in the past close to 3 years. And the problems that people mentioned are some things that we've been hearing across. One is clinical validation pathways. There are no clear clinical validation pathways. There are no clear marketing, go-to-marketing and sales pathways for startups. And what BFI has been trying to do is address these in a slightly different way. So I'm mentioning this in a way of getting feedback and also as information for all the incubators that are present here. One is to make clinical validation pathways easier. We've identified a few medical colleges, including GNI. Someone mentioned GNI. And we are looking to partner with them and create a clinical validation center over there, where the main idea is even if startups are able to identify clinical partners, a lot of times the ethical and the regulatory challenges are so long and drawn out that it gets delayed. So our idea is, can we make a system that is within the medical college but still independent? So people that BFI will hire, so that the ethical challenges and all the regulatory documentation can be accelerated. And our idea is to identify startups that can fit into this pipeline and get the clinical support as soon as possible. So that's one thing we're working on. For the go-to-market and sales strategy, also we've been thinking, if we set up an independent body that is within BFI, and that can identify startups, work with incubators, and help them towards their strategies and ultimately sales, depending on their maturity levels, would that be helpful? So these are a couple of things. And also, one thing that people have been mentioning is capacity building and scaling, building scaling capacities. Here, I just want to put out a question. Is it really sustainable for each incubator to have its own scaling up, capacity and infrastructure? Instead, can we have such huge facilities in strategic places across India? For instance, I can think of Pragati in IIT Delhi, which is an excellent facility where any medical device potentially could scale up. So can we have such facilities in different strategic locations across India, and then incubators in that specific geography come together and use that facility and make it easier for startups to access that facility? Like, I can think of a few. There is the nanoscience facility in IISc. So to speak, it's an open access facility. Anybody can pay money and use it. But we all know that there is red taping involved. So can we think of ways of utilizing the existing facilities strategically in a geographic manner? So these are the 3 points I wanted to mention. Thank you.
Hello. Hi. Can I take a couple of minutes, please?
Yeah, hi. I'm Tarun here, and I'm joined by my colleagues here, Ananta and Arjun here. So we just wanted to take a few minutes to introduce the platform called TGDEX, Telangana Data Exchange. So earlier this year, in July, we have actually launched, Honorable IT Minister has launched the Telangana Data Exchange platform. So what we intend to do with this is threefold. One is make data available for everyone. So one of the key challenges that we have in this entire space is to explore AI models and to develop really good models, right? So you need data, access to data. So
What kind of data is it?
So the data across several different sectors, we have across 29 different sectors that we have made it available. We have over 500 data sets that are available right now. This includes data related to the healthcare sector as well. And I see that that is the topic that is predominantly being discussed. So I wanted to address that. So we have earlier this year hosted a grand challenge as well. That is across several different domains that we have hosted. And we are on the way to actually supporting the deployment of several different pilots in this space. So coming back to the TGDEX topic, right? So we have this data platform, data available, and on to top it, right? So we wanted to give it more information on what is the kind of data that's available. So which is where we have actually created a data scoring mechanism so that anybody who's interested in the data can also know what is the data about and what is the quality of the data that's available. The third part is what we found is many of the startups and incubators, and particularly beyond the tier 1 cities, etc., right, they struggle with getting the right infrastructure and the compute facilities to be accessible. So Telangana government has actually taken up this initiative to make sure that this is available for everyone, which is where we have an integrated development environment for anybody to access this particular data, develop their own models. So people can actually download the data into the IDE, work with their own models, deploy those models as well. And all that, I mean, even the compute right now for exploration and GPU access, etc., that is currently free of cost right, at the moment. So we are actually taking steps to take up this particular platform further. Would be glad to share more information. We have a stall in here. We would request everyone to visit the stall for more information. And also take time to visit the platform, tgdex.telangana.gov.in. So TGDEX, TGDEX, Telangana Data Exchange, .telangana.gov.in.
Next to IKP stall, they have a stall actually there.
Yeah, we have a stall. So would welcome you to visit the stall, know more, and welcome you to create an account for yourself. This is free for all, across all India citizens. So you can go ahead and create your own account, explore what are the data sets that are available, and then create, explore it further.
Hi everyone, this is Shantala Vegas from TAI Hyderabad. Again, not an incubator but an enabler. And first of all, thank you Dipanvita ji and Vishu for the invitation. And we have been, the reason I took up the mic right now is, this is the problem statement across the country, across the state, and across every little, even the smallest unit that we talk about, right? Where, one entity is trying to do too many things and failing at many things. That is what we face internally also. So at TAI Hyderabad in February of this year, we had a roundtable of all the incubators and enablers, investors, and many of you were part of it as well. And we gathered the data and also the points from that particular roundtable. And we are launching something called Hyderabad Entrepreneurial Ecosystem Collective very shortly, 31st of October and 1st of November at our Hyderabad Entrepreneurship Summit that's going to be held. The idea behind this is that, each one of us is very strong at we have a very strong presence and also skill and, whatever that is needed in one particular area. And the sad part of it is when we try to, spread our resources thin, trying to cover too many things, we end up not delivering what we are supposed to deliver to the startup. That's the main crux of the problem, right? So this effort is to bring together everyone who wants to be part of that collective effort where the startup or the entrepreneur is the center of the universe. And, everyone involved in this, now we already have 16 signatories to this MOU. TJIC is part of it, Government of Telangana, IKMC is part of it, IKP is part of it, all the major players. And the idea here is not to claim ownership to a startup, but to gather together and see who can help the startup best. So for example, if you ask what can TIE bring to the table? So TIE brings to the table the expertise in business, because no matter how great the idea is, how great the infrastructure is, everything is done. At the end of it, if it doesn't translate into a viable business, then it can't sustain itself. It dies, right? So that is the idea behind it, to recognize specifically what each partner can bring to the table and work collectively throughout the year, for the collective good of every entrepreneur who passes through the doors of each one of this incubator and enabler, not particularly one, and not stake claim to them and say you can't, you are ours, you can't pass that thing. So
thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make a point, since we have Pranay and Poini, we said that if you have to scale, you have to help a very large number of startups, versus if we have to provide really good services, it will become like a startup studio where you select a few and then really go deep down and help them. So one is deep touch, one is light touch. Which one works in what kind of models? And all people who can do light touch may not be equipped to do deep touch. Do we know where we stand? Or do we stand in the middle somehow and trying to do, as Shantala said, various kinds of things? So if we have to do really large light touch, we have to depend on technology in a very large manner. And what kind of technologies? Earlier also there were other technologies, but now with AI, advent of AI, is incubation, are you thinking that tomorrow instead of a physical manager, you will have an AI manager? Because this is a reality. I have heard from the Tata Automotive's CFO that they are able to replace over 20 engineers with one agent and do work much faster than what those 20 engineers could. So agentic AI development and their work. So do you think that if you have today 10 incubator managers of various levels, you can have a CEO, one person and an agent, AI agent, trained to do, and that will be more efficient. There you can reach 1,000 startups faster. Of course, supply has to be there. I'm not saying that it's a demand cannot be there if we don't have the right supply. But also I heard that we have to figure out where those startups are. We have to really go and deep down. It's not that we have to be just reactive. We have to find out what problems are to be solved. We have to be the influencers and also get the innovators, solve the problems, commercialize them. So it's a different kind of work that incubators can do. But I'm just wondering, Pranay and Proini, have you thought of who's best to do deep down? Funds, of course. Other than that, because you've done incubation, you've done funds, same with Poini. Not everybody can do a very successful startup studio where you may be just looking at 10 startups, but really nurturing them from idea stage and making them unicorns or whatever. Great big company. You're not looking at large numbers. You're looking at excellence versus finding out an excellent startup from the haystack. For example, what you are doing at the state level is a very different effort. Of course, at the state level you can do it versus what an individual incubator, academic incubator can do. Because a state's reach to all the districts is very, very different and your machinery is different. So I'm just wondering what would be the right path?
So I'll tell you at least the various kind of things coming to my mind, right? One, we'll have to be a bit wider simply because of the probability of success, right? As an incubator, if you go very deep and you choose like 10 and just work with them, in 3 years, you might not be able to show enough success to be able to continue your journey, right? So that wideness is needed to a certain extent. Now, to be able to pull off a wider reach and having a sort of a more horizontal portfolio, I'm not even saying expertise area, but just portfolio-wise being able to work with more number of startups. You need both. You should have gone through the process of working deeply with a few to figure out your processes, systems. So it's no different from any other startup, right? You work with a few customers, you work with your beta customers, you prove yourself there, and then you scale up. That was one. And the second is, as you scale up, there's a combination of processes and community which needs to work, right? Like so I'll be very honest, when we started 91 Springboard and initially we were, I mean, now we've pivoted into co-working, so won't even pretend to be a great incubator in that sense. But there's a point of time where we were doing incubation. It was much lighter touch incubation. And having come from a deep touch incubation, I felt very guilty about it. But over time, when I saw the numbers and the founders coming to us and telling us how just being in the ecosystem helped them. So Grow, Mygate, all of them came out of our ecosystem. I realized that just the fact that we created those ecosystems sometimes without even realizing the companies prospering in it, did do a good job of it, right? So I think that as you scale and want to work with multiple entrepreneurs, having a good ecosystem going, infra going, processes going, is something which becomes very relevant.
So it's extremely important to understand the underlying thing that Pranay is talking about. You have to have your processes right, you have to have your ecosystem right, and building the ecosystem is a difficult thing. It is not as easy as we think. Just networking is not an ecosystem. It goes much, much beyond just having casual networks. Right. And I think one has to really invest time in building the ecosystem.
So, Dipandita, coming to your question that you have AI agents taking care of the incubation. Think like this, that everything is being done by AI agent at an incubator level. So the startup can pull certain resources, create their own agent. They need not come to incubator at all. Yeah, I think answer partially yes, wholly no. So here is the thing: why startup coming to the incubator? So for example, in case of deep tech or medical technologies, they require certain kind of infrastructure which cannot be replaced by artificial intelligence tools. There are certain nuances which are very unique. So yesterday we were talking about that we have dealt in sign, we have dealt with 4 litigation. Those knowledge AI cannot produce. But processes level, connection level, matchmaking level, trend kaisa hai, reading the deck and giving input, yeah, there's definitely, there's a need, technology can really be leveraged out there. But human intelligence, I don't think at this point of time can be replaced by AI totally in this particular context. That's my response.
I'll also tell you how I'm approaching it, and there's a mind switch which happened after I talked to a bunch of AI entrepreneurs. Like a lot of times we think of AI as a tool, right? It's almost like a SaaS platform saying I'll put something in, it will give something out and it will solve it. Instead of that, I've switched to thinking of AI as a very smart human who's just graduated from college and joined me as a team member. And now I spend time in training it, so like just the way for a junior, smart junior, I won't tell them make this PPT, right? I'll say, this is what we need to do. Let's think through it. Come back to me with points that we'll put in it. Okay, now let's start making slides. Let's work on the first slide and so on and so forth. So equivalent of that saying in every space, right? From evaluating a startup, having access to the whole database of network and saying, how can we utilize this better? Keep thinking of it as an extra smart human who's joined your team and how can you utilize it better. And hence, to that extent, Deepanvita, I agree with you. It will make incubators much more efficient. The amount of team you'll need will reduce, or the same team will be effective for much more output. But I don't think of it as a tool which will just replace. It's just, right now I had 5 team members, now I'll have power of 50 team members.
Yeah.
Right.
I think Vishu is signaling me about that time.
Last question. May I add one more thing?
Okay,
I think someone has.
Okay, last 2 points, and Vishu, then I'll ask.
No, this is very important. As an incubator, we support startup emotionally, which we tend to forget because startup is a lonely journey, and at that time, as an incubator, you play a major role. And I don't think so. Now we are ready for the tech which can replace. But having said that, with 10-member team, what we are doing right now, it can be reduced to 5-member team or a 3-member team, which can efficiently do certain actions.
Okay. And this is exactly what I wanted to, highlight. While everything that we spoke of reflect what happens in a very mature ecosystems, like us all, I think majority of India still is in tier 2 and tier 3, where I believe we are going to get our next set of unicorns, if, they still exist. And what are we going to do to build those ecosystem and developing the pipeline from there till, it reaches here on this table, and then maybe AI can multiply what, we have to offer as an incubator. So technically replacing, maybe not, multiplying 100% yes, 1.
Got it.
2, this was a point highlighted by someone, I don't remember, I'm sorry. But incubators, or what is the role of an incubator and the role of AI in an incubator? Technically speaking, and if you go and speak with any tier 2 and tier 3, I'm absolutely not going to touch tier 1, neither the incubators nor the entrepreneurs or the innovators from tier 1. Tier 2 and tier 3 looks different, feels different, breathes different, and they think different. The kind of problem statements that they bump into and the kind of ideas they get are very different from the ideas that, again, anybody from tier 1 can think of, can build, and the kind of network access that tier 1, usually typically has. Now, our ability as an ecosystem to build that bridge from a tier 2 to that mature tier 1 ecosystem is what I believe is, is where our efforts should be aligned, and we should start thinking of that. I represent Telangana Innovation Cell. My colleagues have been, speaking of this, and friends from the ecosystem. We were talking about co-incubation. I don't believe, we can ever build a successful startup without co-incubation. So that's not even a question if we are co-incubating or not. In my previous stint, Ramji, my very dear friend, we sent a couple of startups there because we did not have what they had, right? And to be very honest, we did not even have a formal engagement, right? I just picked up the phone and said, can you help, so-and-so startup with that? He said, sure. Absolutely, why not, right? And it happened that way. So what I think what I'm trying to put on the table is we cannot have a menu card of things and then list out. I think it has to be the other ways, where we see a list of things and find who can fill that gap and reach out. And which is basically the idea behind the Telangana Incubators monthly roundtable that we do, giving, face to the name and then building that bridge, which builds a relationship between incubators where the competition, decreases by a little bit and collaboration increases. That's all.
Yeah. I think we have last
One last
And yeah, probably it should be last only.
Yeah, keep
so
it very
I'm Shruti, representing Srinidhi Asan, Center of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, Hyderabad. So I have the last question is that are we really going legally? Do we have any mechanism to change the definition of incubators and incubator defined by government in 1980s? I think ma'am already raised this point, but as we have all the pillars of ecosystem available here, why we are not thinking in that way? Because probably we all are funded by DST or some or another government scheme. But other than DST, they have not defined any of the, grant as in legal in their, law they defined in 1980s. In 2007 again, AIC, ACIC, BIREC, everything got established and we got the grants. Probably, am I right, ma'am? So what are we doing in that way? And it's not the job of one person. We all incubators should come together and we have to raise this point to government to, change the laws or they can refine the laws so that all the incubators, probably academic, private, government, PSUs, they all come under one umbrella and one law. We are not thinking of it because we are not facing it. But tomorrow government will change. Then what we will do? What will be the future of us? So this is, ma'am, please.
Yeah, I think there are no incubator laws, but yeah, there are certain elements that need to be harmonized. Personally, I have taken that, like with Atal Innovation, we have sent it to Startup India also. Maybe collectively we can do, and that's the whole thing. Network and collective power is more important. I don't think any one of the incubator will survive in silos going forward. Pranay, your last one.
Yeah, no, so I was going to ask that we go around the table and ask everyone for 2 things that they'll execute that they've learned from here. But looking at Vishu's face, and I feel like I shouldn't be doing it. What I'll request, and let's use this to do some PR also, if each one of you can on your LinkedIn post about this session, like 2 lines with, these are the 2 things that I have today decided that we'll execute out of this, right?
It is relevant for the future in the new age.
And hash IKMC, right?
I think Sonia ma'am's article is more than enough, to tag it. So if we can tag that article and post it, because she already raised that point and nothing happened. So
Sure, but personal learnings out of here, and 2 things, right? Simple 2 things that you will execute out of this. Great. If we can get together for a selfie.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
We have
photo.
Yeah, we have.
For everyone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Please.
Yeah. Pranay and Poini have done a great job. And thanks both of you for coming. इंदौर से उसके तो एकदम खराब हो गया उसका
Mother is from Sindhua, wife is from a place called India, which is close.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah.
I once again request everyone to gather around the stage for a quick picture, please. The venue needs to be opened up for lunch.